So I'll detail my findings during the survey in graphical form. I'll show you the film as I went along. In the email and in the YouTube, you will see my conclusions and my recommendations. So, thank you for the survey today. A fairly complex set of issues that I'll explain now, but I think in the future it'd be useful having data loggers to determine the level of the dew point. But anyway, we'll talk about it. So the primary issue is downstairs, and you've got the skirting board has dampness behind it, and the only water in that area is the radiator, and there's obviously one pipe that's near to where the dampness is, but the dampness is actually all the way along this wall, along a solid floor. So that's number one. There is some more dampness up here, but that's damp stain, but it's dry now, so we don't need to worry about that. I tested the mains water for a leak, and there is no leak in the mains water. The wastewater is going out that way, and the upstairs is I imagine it's all out that way. But anyway, it wouldn't affect the central area. So the only water we have here is this heating system, and what is happening is the fan in the bathroom, at least the one in the middle bathroom, is going into a void, and above the void you've got two stacks coming out, and no ventilation for this fan. In fact, there's no ducting onto the fan, so the vapor from the fan is coming down, is being pushed down here, and it's in the boiler room, and then you've got high levels of vapor in this area. And in fact, the tenant told me, well, so two things. One is that there is condensation on the wall by the external door, and the tenant told me that she was getting condensation on double glazed windows, which tells me that there's huge amount of excess vapor in the property. And that's primarily this family bathroom, not the one in the master bedroom, but the family bathroom. In fact, the fan in the master bedroom wasn't working from memory. Have a look at the film. But the one in the family bathroom, which is the one they use, which has got a shower in it, that's where the issue is. And the solution will need to be a vent out through the roof, and it will be relatively expensive to get scuffing up to sort that out. So what I'm suggesting in the short term is have two 20 litre per day dehumidifiers running to remove the vapor. You need to have it whenever drying clothes internally, and when the vapor is too high you should have it, and you'll have to get the canister type that then gets the waters taken out daily as part of the daily process. And then in time, I think you need to put in a ducting up and out and through a roof, a roof flap that allows the vapor to go out. Make sure to choose a builder carefully, because builders will notoriously say they've done something without actually doing it, because it does take some effort to you have to have scuffing up there, I would imagine, because it's on the apex. I don't think there's any other way. What I was also suggest is you speak to neighbours. I tried to knock on your neighbours and everyone was out, but see what other people have done, because it looks to me as though it's a building defect, but it may have been a change after the property was built. But you'll see what other builders, other owners have done if you knock on their door and speak to them, or just speak to them and ask them. But yeah, so that's the problem. It's vapor condensing, and the reason it condenses on a pipe is if the property is left empty without heating, you'll end up getting condensation forming on the radiator pipe, because everywhere else is nicely insulated, but this will be relatively cold. The other thing is that you've got this solid floor here, and any dampness going onto the base of the floor will, such as from washing or condensation, will rise up. So I'm suggesting also putting in Siloxane as a precaution, and there's a brand called Dry Zone, and they make a cream. It's used for damp proofing treatment, but you don't have rising damp, so don't follow their directions. But the skirting board should be removed, and 10 to 20 millimeters, so about that much at the base of the wall, should be removed back to the brick, and then the siloxane put in. And I would do all the damp area, which is most of that corridor there. Have a listen to the film taken during the survey. We didn't have any data loggers, so I can't talk to you about the vapor levels in the property, but they seemed high when I was there. So there were no data loggers left in the property. I prefer to see them because you can tell what vapor has been like in the past, but you can buy them and you can install them. This is an example of another property. You can go to damp.ai/detect. You can upload the data. I've made it available for everyone. It's AI generated. This is an example of a graph. This is with a property that had hygroscopic salts and condensation. It's quite complex. In the first instance, deal with the root cause as recommended, and then use the data loggers. Let's have a look at the outside before I knock on the door. Nothing major of concern. So the issue of primary concern is dampness at the base of the wall in the corridor. There's brown staining and is damp. So I document as I'm going along on film, and where you've got the brown stain as you have here, it's because water is passing through building material. It doesn't tell me where it's coming from, but it tells me that it's moving up from the solid floor underneath. So this is looking in, can't see a huge amount. There's a pipework. So this is using a damp meter, and 999 indicates dampness, so to there. So it's damp there as well. That's that looks like there is some dampness there. That's all the way along. So it's not as damp there. It's this internal section. Dry on the other side as well. So this is the other side of the wall. That appears to be dry. Timber is split there. That could be just part of the design. There's a kitchen with extractor fan, which is good. Seems to be ducted out, as you can see. So it's damp in the corner there as well. I understand, so the pressure looks fine on here, so it suggests that you don't have a leak on the heating system, and the tenant says that they haven't had to have the boiler topped up, so that suggests that there's no heating system leak. The washing machine is here. There doesn't appear to be a leak on it. I'm going to test the mains water. So this is just testing for a leak. Turn the stopcock off, and it takes a bit of time for the water to stop running, and then it'll come to equilibrium, and then we'll see the suck back. So the stopcock outside wasn't working particularly well, but it's now at equilibrium, stopped, and it looks to me as though there is some water loss, but we'll have a look in 5-10 minutes time. So this is a thermal imaging camera. So there's the heating pipe, actually you can feel it underneath your feet, goes up through there, and obviously that's where the water is evaporating. And that's around the front door, and if we go to the back of the property, this is the condensation down there. I'll have a look up the stairs. The bathroom extractor fan's off. So this is looking at the ceiling there. I mean, it's not particularly lining up with where the damp area is. Oh, it's dry now. That's just, that's not damp, that's just, yeah, so there's no ongoing damp issue. It's possible that it's a one-off leak or historic. It just needs a stain block on it. I would use an aqueous stain block from Zinza. Probably Zinza, I forget the names, but 123 I think it is. So this is about 10-15 minutes later, and it's exactly the same level, which tells me that you don't have a leak on the mains water. So we're recreating a leak and listening to the dial on the mains water meter. So I'll do this for a couple of minutes, and then we'll listen without it. 10:44, and we're going to turn it off now. We're going to test the extractor fan in the kitchen. I wonder about these devices, because I think they use water. I could be wrong. But the only thing is it's in a corner, so I don't think the device would particularly get in. But maybe the way it's throwing water around, we can't eliminate that. But I'm going to talk about something in a bit. You see, clothes are dried internally, and it's actually very humid in this room, and it really needs a dehumidifier. What can happen is when people are about to go away, they do a lot of washing, and all that extra humidity, and it's speeded up with the heat of the drying rack. It absolutely needs a dehumidifier. There is an overrun on the extractor fan, but we're getting mould there, and we'll talk about, the extractor fan isn't really working. Okay, I'll see if I can solve that. I'm going to try and clean this out with an extractor fan, but you can see how dusty it is. Also, I'm going to change the overrun. It's 1 minute, and I'm going to just change it to half an hour. And obviously, your current tenants are moving out. The new tenants will have it at the higher. Oh yeah, so it's on 30 minutes now. Mold is going to be caused by excess vapor in the bathroom. It's normal, but there'll be an area of heat loss, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some missing insulation there that exacerbates it, but it's not the root cause. The root cause is the vapor made worse by the insufficient ventilation. I have a problem in that the vent, which is obviously dirty, it's just going into an empty void. So I'll show you. Look through that. It's just going in, and if I open it up like that, I don't think it's going out of the building. To see what everyone else says. This is immediately below, and the vapor can just come down through here and condense. I've had it recording for about half an hour or so since there are air bricks that are off centre. Oh, and then there's a well, so one of them will be the boiler and the other one the stack, but nothing else is going out that I can see. So yes, thank you for the survey. So I've tested the water. There's no mains water leak. I've tested that and it's fine. The wastewater isn't coming down through here. We have got the radiator, and there are signs of corrosion around the copper pipe, which suggests that you are getting excess vapor that's hitting the cold pipe when the radiator is not in use for a while. The ventilation in the bathroom is not going anywhere. The ducting isn't ducting out of the property. I tried to knock on the neighbour side to find out whether they have issues, similar issues. It strikes me that it's a design fault in the property, or it's a build fault, or the bathroom extractor fan was installed afterwards, but there's no ducting out of it. One simple thing that you can do, but it's a short-term fix, it's not dealing with the root cause, but if you just cut this plaster, have somebody cut the plaster back to the brick, and then you can put some anti-moisture cream called Dry Zone. Siloxane is the active ingredient, and that will reduce the movement of water, because what happens is it can form on here. It could also be from washing the floor, but this doesn't seem like the obvious place to get the max amount of water. You would expect to get it elsewhere. It is damp all the way around here, but yeah, so those are my findings, and I'll give you recommendations, but including putting the dry zone. I do it the whole way along this wall. As I say, having the heating system, but when the heating system's not in use, those pipes can actually become relatively cold. You've also got condensation on the rear wall. Didn't record that. So this isn't ducted out. The vapor is just going in here down into the ground floor, and it'd be interesting to know whether it's the original building defect or whether there's any other reason for it. It wasn't working very well because it's dusted, but that's not surprising because it's just blowing straight onto, well, anyway, I'll put it back. It needs to have ducting and then up and out. Will cost a bit of money to do that, possibly more than 1,000, because really the roofers need to get onto the loft and put in a tile. It's not the actual cost, it's the access that will cost the money. It's not the labour, it's getting the scaffolding. In the midterm, get 2 20-litre dehumidifiers, one for drying clothes and one downstairs for the excess vapour. To leave it on, but I don't think it's doing anything. Time of year it's less of a risk, it's more in midwinter when it's cold. So in summary, I believe the issue is condensation forming on a cold pipe, specifically the radiator pipe when the radiator is not in use. It could be made worse by washing floor, and the plaster shouldn't really be touching the solid floor. So as a belt and braces, I would remove 10 to 20 millimeters at the base of the wall back to brick and put in the Siloxane. But you definitely have a ventilation issue. The bathroom extractor fan is not ducted anywhere. It's connected to a void that goes down past the boiler into the ground floor. And your long-term solution should be to put in ducting, and I would talk to your neighbours to find out what they've done, because that defect may be in all of the properties in that design. Thank you.